And
have you heard about the
catching
recent the recent thing with Will Smith?
What, and his wife?
Yeah, man.
That, do you know what? That is weird. Like,
Have you watched the video?
no. What's the video?
So she's got this thing. I don't even know if it's her little podcast thing or whatever. It's like a little
her
chat
show. Yeah, her show. Yeah.
And there were like some accusations that she's been cheating.
Yeah.
And she's been cheating. Oh, I forgot the guy's name.
It's August something.
Is it August?
To be honest, do you know what? I've never heard of him before.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think afterwards I checked him out on Spotify. I was just like, I might know one of his songs that I hadn't didn't really notice any of them.
Yeah, I think it's one of them. It's what's Will Smith's son's name?
Jaden.
Jaden. Yeah. I was thinking Jada. Yeah. Jaden. It's his mate.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, he used to bring his mate around the house, and apparently that kid, that
just,
August
like,
guy, he had like issues, like mental health issues, and like she would and Will Smith would actually like try to help him out and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was like 4 years ago, and I think they were like Will Smith and Jada had like some, I don't know if it was an argument or whatever was going on.
Yeah.
And then they split up. Then she started cracking on with this August dude.
Yeah.
And then now it's all come back to hit her.
Yeah, and did you see like what Will Smith said about how he gave his blessing for it to happen?
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of weird
but
because
his face was just saying completely different.
Yeah.
He was all uncomfortable and just like
because it's like they've kind of accepted that they're just there to kind of bring up their kids together.
Yeah.
And they're still friends. But not sure kind of what the arrangements are like. Are they staying in the same bed still and it's like stuff like that, and obviously living together, but then allowed to then see other people because they're not in love still or something like that. Yeah.
It is weird, man. I don't know how these rich people move differently compared to like the thing is Will Smith's such a respectable figure like in the Hollywood industry.
Yeah.
This is I don't know, it feels like this is kind of ruining his reputation now.
Yeah.
Like, it's really messed him up, I feel like.
Yeah, it's just a weird like situation. Like, surely I don't know. Like, surely you decide that you're going to work things out and kind of you stick through things even if they're going to be tough, or you say actually it's not for us. It's not working out. We'll still keep in contact, and obviously we've got the kids that obviously are part of our kind of relationship.
How much wind this is taking in.
But you just leave it. Like I don't know. It
is a difficult one, man. I mean, I wouldn't know what I would do.
And I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August.
I always thought Will Smith's the guy, man. And I used to feel like that with Jay-Z, but obviously he's got these cheating moments, apparently. But I feel like Will Smith is also in the wrong. Not at that situation, but I'm sure he's done something wrong for Jada to do that.
Yeah.
There's two sides of the story, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And there's probably looking back at like her situation, there's probably a point where she was just like, it's not for me kind of thing. Like there's something that isn't quite what it used to be. So now, I'm kind of like a bit done with it, and it's because of him.
It was 4 years ago as well. Yeah. I don't know if it wasn't an official split up, but when you split up with someone, you don't really know if it's official until like, I don't know, a year in. No, I'm joking, not a year, that's quite long. Like 6 months in. Like, I don't know how long they were single for, but it doesn't seem like it was long enough for her to be getting with someone, and like I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just being judgmental.
I suppose especially because they're like married as well, and they got kids as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I don't know, but do you know what? I feel like that's like kind of a constant kind of issue that people, they first kind of get together and everything's kind of fine, and then they have kids and they might get married. And then something along the line just doesn't go right, and they're just they decide that it's not for them, but they kind of carry on because they've got the kids, and especially if they're if the kids are young as well, then obviously kind of you don't want to leave kind of
the
your
whole
partner.
Like, what you built there, the whole family you built, that was all because of you.
Exactly.
And now that could be all done and dusted.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
That is, man, and especially if Jada didn't go ahead with like divorcing him and stuff. He would lose a lot of money. Yeah. Like what he's built, he's way more known than obviously Jada and stuff. Yeah. And whatever he owns, half will be hers. I think. I don't even know how if he's even done a prenup or whatever it is.
But yeah, I think they're quite big together though as well, aren't they? Yeah. Like it's not even. Like you see, like a lot of celebs, you're just like one of them's famous, like, but the other one's just kind of, just someone else that's, might well be kind of fairly well known, but both of them are like big names.
Big
like
names.
she was the hippo in Madagascar.
Oh,
like,
was it?
Yeah,
oh, shit, I didn't know
exactly.
That.
So she's like,
she's huge.
So exactly, so she's like fairly fairly big. You know, she's not like a no one.
But even the kids, they're huge now as well.
Exactly.
Jaden's doing bits, especially with music.
Yeah, he's doing loads of stuff like what was it? I think it was in American Flint. I think it was when they had like their water crisis
Water
or whatever.
stuff, he's doing all that as
and he
well.
was doing loads of stuff there. And I'm like, but I can imagine that they've done, you know, a lot of work around making sure that their kids have like really good values and making sure that, you know, that they realise kind of like the privilege that they have. You know, they've got two parents that are very well off, very famous as well.
But do you think they do understand that?
What, the kids?
Yeah. Do you feel like, I don't know, because sometimes I feel like they obviously got managers themselves, and then managers trying to explain, like the water thing. How do we know that it wasn't Jaden's idea? You know, his manager could have been like, "Right, do this water thing. Everyone will love you."
Yeah.
You know.
But then I still think that even if it's not necessarily come from him, like, and it's, you know, it's his thought. Even to do that, still, even if someone said, "Oh, you know, I think that's a good idea to do it," still to go through with it is fairly kind of, you know, quite noble of them, and you know, I think, I don't think it's necessarily too much of an issue kind of who it necessarily came from, you know, whether it was like him and he just thought, oh yeah, this is something that I'm just going to do because I think I should do, or whether someone's kind of nudged him and been like, oh, you know, it'll be really good if you could do that, and he's gone and done it, but he's still done it in the end.
He's still done it. No, that's a good point. Yeah, he's still done it, regardless if it wasn't his idea or not. You know, he's still doing good to the world.
So a question for you now.
Oh,
so
right, already? This is
my podcast. Like, have you got used to the fact that obviously everyone finds it weird? Like everyone, I don't know, there's something in your head that you've got kind of this picture of what your voice sounds like. And then obviously then you play
even
it on
when you're talking,
recording.
you hear it in your head.
Yeah, exactly. And you play it on a recording or video or whatever and you sound completely different. Have you got like used to like listening to yourself back on this?
At the beginning, man, like I don't know which episode I said this, but I think I said this in the early episodes. When I first started this, it was all like, I don't know, I kept redoing stuff. I kept like stopping the microphone and just kept editing bits out, and like it was nuts, man. I really hated it. I was like, what have I started? And I just thought, you know what, I started saying I just need to keep at it and just try to get used to this. And eventually, I think after the 20th episode, it took me 20 episodes to get used to like, all right, we're just doing this now, we're flowing. Sick. We're flowing, and then I thought, I could do this. And eventually it just kind of it feels weird. It feels like you're not really listening to yourself. So after this is done, and when I edit like everything together, when I listen back at it, I don't hear myself, if that makes sense. I don't feel like I'm listening to myself. I feel like I'm just listening to just someone interviewing, and I'm just editing it all up. It's weird, man. Yeah, I know. But that is the only time I listen back at any of my episodes, is when I'm editing. I never listen to the final product.
Oh, do you not?
No.
No, you just kind of let it go.
Let it go, and then I just put it out. And
do you know what? It's quite good sometimes to be like that, because you're just like, right, it's done now. Like there's nothing I can do. You know, I'm not going to go back and just kind of re-edit everything or refilm or, you know, kind of do everything that, you know, like there's a little mistake, you know, because it has to kind of be like natural.
It needs to feel natural, and that's the thing. What I did with the beginning, like you said, with the little mistakes, that would bother me so much. I'm like, fuck, man, people are going to listen to this. Like our mate Dan, I just always have this thing in my head, not just Dan, but other people as well. I'm just like, fuck, they listen to this, they're going to fucking just comment on this bit. So I might as well introduce you. So this is Jared Gray, everyone. He's part of the friendship group with me, Dan, who else been on the podcast? Ed. Sunil. That big group. And people probably wondering why they're outside, because of COVID, boy. We're trying to be sensible.
Fucked up the base.
Innit? We're trying to limit ourselves from staying indoors. I don't know, man. I'm only doing this only because I don't want people complaining, saying that, oh, why are you guys indoors and doing that? So we've come to Ed's balcony. But no, thanks for coming on here, man. I appreciate it big time. Like this is the first episode back after lockdown, and you're my first guest episode after lockdown.
Exactly.
And now I've got like multiple different cameras, different layout. We're doing it outdoors.
Just technology nowadays, man.
Yeah, now I'm slowly growing. I'm just like adding more bits to my thing.
Well, do you know what would be like sick? Like when you look at this in like, if you like carry it on for like a couple of years and you like listen to like your very first one or like your very first few ones, and then you go to like where you are in like 5 years time, and you've got like cameras that are just like high definition, and you've got you know sick mics. Could you imagine? You've got you know when you're on the radio and they've got their little like sound bites and stuff that they throw in there, and you're throwing that in as well.
That's what I want to do eventually.
That's the dream.
I think like the stuff that we talk about, I'm gonna edit in all like Will Smith was talking about putting his picture.
Yeah.
I even put in the clip where he was just like, well, awkward. Like all this podcast, everything I'm doing is for me to figure out the best way to live your life and to be the best human being as possible. And this episode is going to be kind of closely about just being human. Like I feel like me and you, like people who don't know, I've literally grew up with Jared. I've been friends with you. I don't even know how long.
Downham days.
Downham days, man. Like he's seen me go through
Bromley,
all sorts. Like we've together, like whatever the issues we've had, we've kind of always spoke to each other about it. And what was I going with that? Oh yeah, and this episode is mostly about being humans and growing up in the world that we live in now. Just especially going through racism. Now this massive pandemic, which is it's a history now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that like our kids or like our grandkids or however many generations away are going to be looking at history books or or whatever lesson it is they're studying, and it's going to be about this time. Like that's how huge it is.
It's like listening, like we'll tell our grandkids this or even our kids, and it's like listening to your granddad talk about the war.
Exactly.
It will feel you won't appreciate it like listening to it, but because we've been through it, it's weird, man. It's a nice little history, but it's still shit at the same time that we're actually going through this shit. How you been though about it? Like how you been the last 3 months?
I don't know, I've got into kind of a bit of a weird kind of place now where I'm actually quite happy not going out and leaving the house.
Same.
Which like obviously it was fine at the start because obviously the whole point was that we needed to stay indoors, and I was like, okay, fine. We had my girlfriend's cousin stayed with us, and then we just had a new housemate as well. So there was 4 of us in the house. So
you had housemates
at least we
well.
had people to keep us company and stuff. And we had dinner together, and we'd watch we've watched all sorts of Netflix show like Tiger King and White Lines and all sorts of stuff and all that stuff. So you kind of just got used to it. But now it's kind of weird going like trying to get yourself back into how you were before, because obviously Monday to Friday you're leaving the house to go to work. You're out from 7 o'clock in the morning till say 6-7 o'clock in the evening. Come home, you have dinner, you do whatever in the evening, you go to bed, whatever, and then on the weekend you go out and you see your mates and all that kind of stuff. And it's just weird kind of trying to get back into that, but also balancing it, because obviously we're still not 100% safe. So you can't just kind of be a bit reckless and be like, okay, well, most of the things are kind of eased, so we can just go back to kind of normal life.
That's the
but
thing,
like we can't. So
we can't, but
then it's like going, well, I don't want to be too but I don't want to be too cautious and then just not go out, see my friends, because I still fear that it's still out there and I could still catch it, and
it's still a real thing. Like it's not gone. Like no one's found the cure yet. But again, it's just. How do you feel about them like kind of opening things up and like the pubs and stuff? Do you feel like it's the right time?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think like, have you seen the stuff with New Zealand and their Prime Minister?
They've been proper strict.
Like I think kind of the focus
fighting.
has to be, isn't it? Like, what the hell?
That wasn't a racial thing, by the way. Like, it sounded like
just
monkeys.
Some monkeys in Catford, like South East London. Like.
There's like trees in that.
But I think you have to get a balance between, in terms of public health and looking after the health and well-being of your population and the economic factor, which obviously, kind of it is quite easy just to say, well, obviously, you're going to make sure that kind of you keep as many people safe as possible and you limit as many deaths as possible. But obviously, in terms of the economic factors, these are people's livelihoods that you're talking about. So if you don't get that kind of started as soon as possible, then there's people that will potentially be in kind of a similar situation because they don't have a job, they don't have an income, so they can't afford food, or or they're having to use food banks, and they're not able to kind of have a good
Mad. I was hoping someone's having sex. That'd be so funny.
But yeah, you have to get kind of like a good balance like between both of them. And I think at the very start, I was very much in the mindset that we have to make sure that we limit as many deaths as possible. That everyone's as safe as possible.
Naturally,
the economy will be fine because when we get it kick-started again, then kind of you'll have this huge influx. If everything's as safe as it possibly can be, and obviously there's a few kind of rules and regulations like social distancing which is in place. But you know, for however long it has been that, say, pubs have been shut, you know, obviously we're getting into the summer period, so everyone's just going to flock back into the pubs, and they're going to, you know, they're not obviously going to rebalance themselves from.
Have you seen the pictures in Soho?
Yeah, it's mad.
That was
yeah,
crazy.
There's so many people
getting
there.
off with each other. There was like massive crowds
and just the streets just like absolutely full. But the thing is, like,
I saw this coming though.
Yeah, like I think that if we had waited like a little bit longer, like I think we needed to go into lockdown sooner.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's reports which I haven't seen much kind of come from them, but there's been reports about apparently it was in France from like December.
The outdoors is
I know,
crazy.
it's just a bit loud, isn't it? So yeah, there's like reports of it potentially being in France in like December time. So just like, okay, well, it's so, first of all, you know, like I'm sure we'll go on to it about kind of like racism and about it kind of being this Chinese disease when like it's not. Like, you know, that kind of gets rid of, you know, all of those people that were saying that. But it's like, if it was in Europe from like December time and we didn't take it seriously, like, because fair enough if, you know, if no one had a clue and, you know, kind of all this stuff. But people have known about this, and you know, the health officials have said, you know, we need to be careful about this, we need to put in, you know, these strict rules and stuff. And it was just kind of ignored, I feel like, from our government.
Didn't Boris say, we didn't say these words, but wasn't it like pretty much survival of the fittest? Like,
yeah. Mate, he said herd immunity. So he said basically, and again, I think this was a lot of naivety, but again, he's the prime minister, so you can't really afford to be naive.
You shouldn't be like that.
But yeah, saying that this is basically like a common flu. So the best thing to do is to get as many people infected as possible, so that we then become immune to it. Like if there is kind of like a second wave of it in you know, in the winter, which is just nuts. Like our prime minister said, like, Go catch it. If you die, you die. If you survive,
imagine
calm.
that.
Like, that's nuts to think about it.
Fuck, a leader saying these things. Like, all right, you will lose family members, but you know, you can survive it.
Exactly.
Like, it is what it is.
It's like, for that to come from your prime minister is absolutely mad. And then obviously when you kind of start to read like a bit more into it, and you hear like what's the advisory group, Sage, and you hear like stuff from them being said that, you know, we warned them back in January that we're going to have to, you know, have a bit of a plan around what we're going to do with this, which apparently we just don't have any kind of crisis management plans. You know, we've just obviously spent money on whatever else or whatever.
Got neighbours staring at us.
Yeah, neighbours are just there watching. You're right. What do you reckon their names are?
We're famous.
Like Bob and...
No, that guy was definitely Graham.
Graham, you reckon?
Do you reckon? No, you saw him clearer. He looked like a Graham.
Yeah, I could say Graham. Yeah, maybe shorts. But yeah, it's just mad that we've kind of got to this point now. But I don't know. Like, I think, but it's mad. Like, you look at New Zealand, and obviously they did things like very, very strictly. I haven't read like much into it, but it seems like they just kind of completely locked down. You know, it was literally go out for your food, and
literally not even, you can't even work out. Like,
exactly.
Go out for food.
Go out for your food. But I've seen photos of them, and this is probably like a good kind of month or two ago now, where they've got kind of sports events on, and like there's a full crowd there, and like we're not going to have that for a long, and without having, you know, so many checks in place, because it's just been completely messed up by the government.
It's hard with alcohol, especially us British people. We love alcohol, and I feel like, I mean, the other week, that was a few weeks ago, when I went for a drink with a few people in the park. The park felt like a festival. Yeah. Like, there was so many people, and especially when you start drinking, you look at people and it's like they come to shake your hand. And it's weird because it feels like they're not trying to be rude, but they've got that. They trust you, and you don't want to be rude and not be like, ugh.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I can't really explain it.
You've got germs kind of thing.
Like, I'm still trying to be safe, but also, you know, it sounds bad, but I don't really care if I catch it. Because I feel like I'm young, I'm fit, I could survive it. But then people like my mum, who's got diabetes, and obviously I don't want my little sister getting ill, even though she will survive it. She's a kid. I just don't want people getting it. But I just feel like when the alcohol gets involved, people just go crazy and just like, we're fine.
Yeah, and people just don't care. Like,
and I feel like that as well. When I was drinking, I was like, I'm fine. Like, we're all fine.
And especially like if you're in like a small group and there's just like a couple of you like in a park and like you're drinking, you're just like, but you're like fine, because you know you kind of set yourself out. Like when we've been to parks, you know we've all been kind of fairly, you know, distance away from each other, and all we're doing is sitting there and drinking, so it's fine. But when you've got kind of like a huge group of people, like it's just quite natural to then be like, oh, you know, like let's share a bit of food, so you know I'm going to move around, and then you then start talking to someone someone else, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, if it just builds on numbers, then it just kind of gets out of hand.
I feel like they made this thing to be such a, like, when you got it, you know you've got it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So now when you see people out and about, like, if you see them healthy, they're like, oh, he's fine. He hasn't got it. So it's very hard to tell. But again, man, like I said, they need to lift it one day.
Especially, I think it's when you kind of feel it personally as well, when you're just like, okay, I might not have a job, or and because I've seen like stories on BBC London of people that have, you know, been on fairly decent jobs, you know, earning, you know, good money kind of thing, and all of a sudden this has then meant that they've lost their job, or, you know, something like that's happened. And, you know, they could be people that are earning, you know, 30k plus, so, you know, fairly comfortable kind of living, and then all of a sudden they've got like either no or barely any income, and they're like having to rely on things like food banks, which is just, it's just crazy to think that someone could quite easily, or I say someone, like not like the rich, you know, the pure rich people, like not them, because they're like Dan King.
He's been boasting about how much he's saving his whole time.
Man, like Dan King, who's on like 200k, or that's what he makes us to believe. Anyway,
he's saving like 100k a month, like. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, like how you could just go from, you know, like, and to think that any of us, like, out of our group could quite easily be like, right, we're all, you know, earning kind of, you know, fairly good wages, you know, we're all kind of getting on fairly well, and then all of a sudden we could be relying on a food bank for our next meal because our job is gone, we can't get another job.
Getting on job seekers.
Yeah, exactly, and it's...
Mate, life would be stressed,
it's scary.
Again, like, even during this last 3 months, like, we've not just experienced this pandemic, but we've also experienced a beautiful thing with the Black Lives Matter. It's weird how it's like big. I'm not saying because of the pandemic, but it's happened during the pandemic, when this should have been, like, this movement should have been about the whole time. It's kind of come to an important thing now. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like, I think, and like, I've had conversations with people, like, thinking about why this time seems different, because, like, it's been, like, the movement's been around for, you know, for ages. And it's not, you know, a black man being murdered by the police is not a new thing in America. You know, it happens regularly. So it's like, it's weird to kind of think, well, what's different, like, this time? Like, why all of a sudden has this caused, you know, global outrage? You know, usually it's kind of, you know, you hear about it in America, and, you know, some other kind of places might, you know, kind of pick up on it. But, like, I can't remember what the numbers were in the end, but there was numbers saying about how many countries across the world had Black Lives Matters protests, and it was just like, it was crazy. You know, there was lots of countries that did it, and I think that because we've all been kind of locked down, and obviously again because it's globally as well, you know, so most people are indoors, or, you know, you're not kind of going out as much as you normally would. And I think, like, social media has just been huge for it.
Massive, man.
Like, if you, like, it's actually scary to think, how much would you actually know about what's going on outside of what the news tells you, and, you know, outside of your country?
I avoid the news, which is bad. But if it wasn't for social media,
you just wouldn't hear it, would you?
Not at all.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, there's so much, especially because obviously, you know, a bit like with your podcast, like, this just reaches kind of wherever, you know, it can get to.
Wherever it gets to,
and things like social media has that, because, you know, you just follow people, you know,
I would have never done this if it wasn't for social media. I don't know how I would market myself. Like, I'd have to spend hundreds, thousands perhaps, like, just to market myself. But now with social media, I'm doing everything myself. Like,
exactly, and it's just so easy for things to spread, and I think that it's probably had kind of a bigger impact this time round because everyone's been locked down. You know, we're potentially, I mean, I don't know if you get on your iPhone when it comes up on like a Monday morning, your hours that you've been on your phone.
Very embarrassing.
Oh mate, I need to turn it off. It's so annoying. Like,
you turn it off?
I think you can. Like, you need to shut your mouth. Like, I know I'm on my phone for 8 hours a day.
I'm stuck indoors,
but
man.
I'm stuck indoors. What do you want me to do? Innit? Like,
but the thing is, you've been preaching about, like, Black Lives Matter for a while before even it kind of got big, and you know, I got to apologise about this, because I kind of never understood it, because I've been through racism. I feel like I've been through, like, horrible stuff in my life, and I'm sure you have as well. But, like, there was a time, I think I tweeted this, like, I was literally, it was when I was working in Wilco, and I was just going home. I was walking home. It was like a snowy day, you know, those days where snow settled, and this van pulled up, and was just like, come here, mate. And I just went over there. I didn't really think about anything.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was going to mug me or anything. You know, I'll go gym.
I bench.
There was a couple guys in there. He told me to come over. It was at the traffic lights. It was red light. He told me to come over. So I went over, and he was like, "Oh, do you know where?" I think it was Bromley South or something. And we was literally near it. And I was like, "Oh, it's literally just over there, mate." And he just, you know, when you get those snowballs, but you squeeze it so much that it turns to kind of like an ice ball.
Yeah.
And he just dashed that in my face, and he
Yeah.
drove off. And then he called me a fuck. He dashed it in my face and just drove off. And I was like, what? I'm literally just going home. Like that. Because of those little things, and I've had previous things before. I just feel like I've always felt like, you know what? There's no point fighting it. I'm gonna get this my whole life. And people that did fight, I'm just like, well, you're just wasting your time. We're in a white country. You know, we're gonna get this. There's no point fighting it. And recently, I just like, especially I'll say recent. The last 2 months, realizing for myself, like, why am I accepting that? Why am I not fighting it? And then, you know, seeing you always tweet about stuff, like I was kind of in like, why is Jared doing this? Like, it doesn't matter, like, you should stop. And now I get it. I'm like, no, you shouldn't stop, man. You should always fucking shout as much as you can about it. Like, let people know that it's a thing. Like,
but like the so with your like story there, those are the toughest ones, because it's it's then feeling like you have to prove that was actually because of you know, that was racism, you know, that someone didn't just do that because of some other feature, you know, oh no, I said that to that person, or I did this because of something else, you know, a bit like when you see like police stop usually, you know, black and Asian males, and they'll make up some excuse, you know, they'll never
around here.
Exactly, they'll never say, oh, you know, I stopped you because you're a young black or Asian male and you look dodgy. They'll say, oh no, like I saw one the other day, absolutely ridiculous, guy was riding his bike and they said that they stopped him because he didn't have a license plate. And you're just like, what?
Oh yeah, I'll see that.
Yeah,
I'll see that.
And it's just absolutely crazy. You're just like, what? And
you're riding with a license plate.
Yeah, it said that it didn't have a helmet on and stuff like that. And it's just like, no. Like you're saying it because you thought I was dodgy. You thought that I had drugs on me, or I had a knife on me, kind of thing. But like,
I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm black.
Obviously, it's so hard to then, you know, unless the person admits that that's the reason why they did that, then it feels like you're just fighting a losing battle. Because you're just like, because someone just goes, oh no, like it was because of this or because of that, and you can't prove it. So then, like, you just feel kind of a bit lost, then, don't you? Because you're a bit like,
of course.
Like, how do I go and, you know, kind of say to people, oh yeah, like this happened to me because I'm black. And you're just like, but, you know, and you're just like, well, no, actually, it could have happened because of this and this and this, and then you start to doubt yourself, and then,
that's literally
but then I think what is kind of quite good is when people start talking. So yes, if there was kind of an isolated event of a black young male being stopped on his bike, then you're just a bit like, okay. But then when you start to hear this person say it, and this person say it, and this person say it in a different city, and this person say it in a different country, and you're just like, oh, well, actually, this is a thing. Like this isn't just, you know, this isn't just a one-off thing, or, you know,
it's not
the
because
police
I'm
just
what I'm wearing.
Or police just kind of trying to make up some kind of, like, you know, some kind of bullshit excuse.
Definitely.
This is legit, and this happens on a daily basis. This happens to so many people.
There's
and
no
it's
need
like,
to ring that bell, by the way. There's
exactly.
no one around.
And yeah, like it happens a lot, and it's only, I think that's why it's quite important to be able to kind of be vocal about this. Like, I know, like, obviously I know it's tough, like, because, you know, sometimes you don't want to. You're just a bit like, well, I'd rather not talk about it, and, you know, just kind of push
that's
it
what
away.
the problem is, though. The more you don't talk about it, and that's what it kind of opened my eyes, like, just even just seeing how you are as well on social media. Like, I was just thinking, oh, why is he always negative? Remember, I even told you about this, and you just like, oh, I'm just telling people, you know, they should actually focus. And I'm just like, oh, no bother, like, stop it. And I apologise for that, because I just never really, and I feel like majority of people do think like the way I was thinking. They're just like, you know, you should be always being positive, you know, why are you always talking about that? But nah, man, it's not solved. Nothing's, you know, this is not a thing that's I'm only talking about because of my experience. It's everyone's going through it.
Exactly. Like, and I think that's quite important, because there's sometimes when, like, when you're thinking about kind of having like a positive like mindset, there are some things where some people kind of are quite negative about lots of things, you know, oh, like my life is like, you know, being really bad because of, you know, this, and this. And it's like, okay, well, you know, there might be some of those things which, you know, are quite true, and, you know, you can't necessarily
everyone's
help
got their own
those.
problems.
Yeah. But actually, on the other side, on the flip side, like, there are some things that, you know, you could do to kind of help yourself there. So, you know, there are kind of some things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, when it comes to things like racism, like, it's just there, and you just have to, like, either if you ignore it and you kind of go, oh yeah, no, like, it's fine, you know, or you kind of look at it and you go, right, this isn't okay, I need to fight against it, even if it's just me as like one person. If me as one person then means that someone else is then going to go, actually that happened to me and I'm going to speak up about it, then it just, and again, social media,
and
it's just going to spread.
Yeah, mate, I respect that so much. And I mean, I'm not comparing that, but it's like what I'm doing with the podcasting and stuff, like, you know, when I'm just talking about my issues and like anything like that, I want other people to talk about it as well, instead of just holding it in and just suffering. That wasn't corona cough, by the way. I've got this weird allergy thing.
This guy, allergies.
It like builds up, like cough, phlegm builds up. It's like clear white phlegm.
Oh, that one's
very annoying, man. But yeah, no, I respect how you are, man. Like, especially on social media. And yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't want it to die down. I feel like now a lot of people kind of stopped. It's like, I feel like it was a month that everyone was preaching it, all the companies were preaching it, but I do feel like it should be made aware, like maybe even like a monthly thing, or just, I don't know, eventually into a thing where it's just natural,
and it just kind of carries like a bit of momentum, because I think that's always the issue.
Did that ever happen?
I don't know, because I think that's the issue that we've been in before, where something like this has happened and everyone goes, right, this is not okay. And because the thing is, like, there's no debate about that. Like, it's definitely not okay. What the hell mate, they got some weird neighbours around.
Hey, Catford is where it's at, boy.
They're just like, everyone's partying and having sex and stuff.
Everyone's partying,
like,
having sex.
That's just what you do, partying and having sex, to go hand in hand.
At least they're indoors and...
Yeah, exactly, and staying safe.
And
staying alert as well.
Got the dog getting involved.
Exactly.
We're all cat boys.
Jokes.
Sorry, what
but
was you saying?
So I think it's tough, because the issue is that obviously for anyone that is, especially obviously with this at the moment, with anyone that's black, obviously I know the kind of like Asian communities have, you know, obviously, you know, issues around racism as well.
Yeah.
But obviously talking about kind of this, like, the issue is that in terms of it being kind of carried on, is that it's our daily life. So obviously we're going to kind of carry it on because it's stuff that we experience every day, or, you know, or it's a family member, or it's a friend, or it's even just someone that you follow on social media that is black as well, and you see it happen to them. So it's kind of, it's harder to forget. Whereas kind of if you are, you know, if you're a white person, then, and it's, you know, and, you know, you might not have black friends, or you might not live in a community where there's lots of, you know, kind of black people in that community, then it's quite easy just to distance yourself from it and just kind of forget that it's, you know, that it's a thing that's happening, because you could just go about your, you know, you could go about the rest of your life and you know, barely, you know, see it, kind of thing. Because especially the issue that we have in this country is that it's not bait. Like, you don't get, although obviously black men have died, you know, at the hands of the police.
I think it's the area we're in as well.
Yeah.
Like, we're growing up from Bromley.
Yeah.
Very white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, like, you don't see, it's not everyday news for us that we see a black man dying in London, like, because it doesn't, at the hands of the police, like, it doesn't happen as much, which is why kind of it feels kind of even worse here, because it's just so much more sly. They just kind of get away with doing things. Just because we're not dying doesn't mean that it's not an issue.
I was about to say that. Because we're not dying in this country, you know, we're still, you know, getting sent to prison. We're still getting bullied by these police, and not even police, just not everyone, but most. But still,
it's just around. Do you know, I saw a really interesting video which I'll send to you. I can't remember what the title of it was called, but basically it was talking about being criminalised for like drug use and drug possession. And so it's talking about, obviously, you know, there's kind of huge amounts of typically kind of black men that are in prison for like possession or use of weed, and kind of how those numbers are just kind of ridiculous, basically. So it's like saying, oh well, is there kind of this issue that this black community has around kind of use and possession of weed? Obviously I know, like, we love going to Amsterdam, and it probably should be legal to do, but if not, it shouldn't carry a criminal,
maybe a fine,
exactly, but not kind of, especially like in America, like, I feel like they can hand out whatever bloody sentences they want. So it's like, this probably kind of quite like privileged area can have like a bar which allows you to buy weed, which is obviously owned by a white person, probably a white male, and they're allowed to do that. But the black guy that's used a small amount of it, they're not selling it, they're using it for their own personal use, and they're in prison for like 5-10 years. And just like, what? Like, how does that make any sense? But then, like, if you look at the stats, right? And to be honest, it's just a well-known thing that a lot of white people, and especially kind of the more like middle class, upper class, like, it's always a well-known thing that bankers love to do drugs, like on their nights out or whatever, or they do cocaine kind of thing. But it's just kind of widely accepted that that's okay, and that they don't really kind of have any fear of being kind of stopped and searched by the police or arrested for it.
It's true.
But someone that's got a bag of weed for their own personal use is arrested, and it's just like, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. And obviously it does make sense, because the reason why is literally because of racism. Because the white a white male is pretty much at the top of kind of the privilege, like, pyramid, if you want to call it that. And they're allowed to kind of get away with things, or not necessarily, they won't necessarily get away with everything, but it will be, I don't know, like, you see when there's like sentences of people that do exactly the same thing, one's white male, one's a black male, and the sentencing differences are like completely different. Or someone just gets away with something because they're white, and it's just crazy, isn't it?
I feel like what you're saying is like, it is spot on. I feel like there's people that not really narrow-minded, but again, it all comes to do with education. That they might feel like what you're saying could be racist, what I'm saying could be racist. I'm saying that, like you said, like, white people are privileged, they're up there. Like, someone that, a white person getting stopped, I don't know, for maybe, driving a bit too fast, they're not as scared as how a black person would be getting stopped.
Exactly.
Again, it is education. It's narrowing it down to exactly what it is, and a lot of people, and I'll admit, a lot of my listeners as well, I get loads of feedback of what stuff I talk about. I kind of spoke about I think at the beginning of my last episode, I spoke about a few things about like Black Lives Matter, white privilege and stuff. I had a couple of my white mates just saying, but then what about us, like, you saying that, and it's just like,
the thing, right, so I've had some like interesting conversations with people about white privilege, because it's like, I think people just think of the word privilege and they associate that with being rich, with having a really good life and kind of all of that.
Mate, you explain that. And I'm so bad at talking. This guy.
But that's the issue with it, because everyone assumes that if I say the term white privilege, that means that all white people are privileged, and it's like, no, it's like. And actually, I went on a training course the other day with my work. Like, we're doing like loads of like really good stuff at the moment.
It's good, man.
And it spoke about like everyone having different types of privilege, which is very interesting to think about, because actually we're all kind of privileged in some way. So, for example, if you think about in terms of sexism, we are privileged because we're men, right? So you wouldn't necessarily that we're at the top of kind of this this privilege kind of chart, but because we're men, we're more privileged than some women because they face sexism kind of thing. So like that's kind of like quite an interesting way of thinking about it, that it's not necessarily that you're white, so therefore you've got a better life than someone else. It just means that you're not subject to some of the things like racism, which people of colour, people that are black, people that are Asian will suffer from. And like, I think we were like talking about it as well, about kind of like class systems as well, and talking about obviously some people that are the lower classes of society, like we talk about white privilege, and they go, well, actually, well, no, I'm not privileged, like I'm on a 0-hour contract, I'm not earning much money, I grew up on like a council estate, my family don't kind of have these like great kind of like life outcomes, and you go, well, yeah, actually, like like your life is tough. I'm not saying that your life isn't tough, because it is, and everyone has, in some way or the other, has something in their life which is tough, which means that kind of that you struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, we're talking about the privilege of your skin colour, your skin colour means that you won't have to suffer from some of the same things that I have to suffer from.
Mm-hmm.
But also very interesting, like we're talking about kind of the lower classes as well, and I think that they get quite a bad deal as well. Not obviously not to the same extent that obviously if you're any black male, you could be a rich black male. Like I don't know if you saw and I'd kind of just say about males, but obviously females as well. But about Bianca Williams, who is a GB
she's
sprinter.
been stopped.
And her and her family got stopped. You might well have been stopped.
Did she sue them at the end?
No, so it was a bit of rubbish basically. So the Met Police they issued an apology to them.
Okay.
But I think they only did that because one obviously they stopped him, I think, because they said something about them driving dangerously, which I don't know about you. Like obviously you drive and I don't drive. Obviously I just like cycle and just public transport and stuff.
Man.
Exactly, cycling's fine. Exactly. I don't need the car. But like you see people driving dangerously all the time, but you don't see them stopped. Imagine if they stopped everyone that kind of was speeding a little bit too much. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've only really issued that apology because they've stopped her, not realised who she is, because she's fairly kind of influential. She's well known, but not necessarily. It's not like, for example, if we talk about Will Smith. If you stopped Will Smith, you'd be like, oh, that's Will Smith.
Yeah.
Let me be a bit careful here.
I'm so sorry.
Exactly. But because they didn't recognise who she was, and then she's then come out and said, this has happened. That's the only reason why they've said sorry. And to be honest, it's not really good enough. Like, how can you just say sorry and just that's it, done kind of thing?
Yeah, we're sorry.
It's like, no,
mistakes happen.
You just stop people because of the colour of their skin. And again, like they just have this idea that black people must be poor. So that means that if there's any black person that has any type of like jewelry on, is driving a nice car, looks like they're kind of fairly well dressed, it means that like they have to question how they've got to that point. I've been lucky enough that I haven't been stopped and searched many times.
Imagine when you go home tonight.
Like, yeah, exactly. Say that, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go home and they're gonna pull me over when I'm on my bike. Oh, where's your license? I'm like, well, fuck off. Like,
you know what? Let me go. Don't shut up.
But yeah, like it's just kind of
fucking wasp behind you. It's gone.
But yeah, he's loving it.
You're making some really good points, no matter what.
Mate, it was like
inside?
It was like nearly in my ear.
Oh God, it's not near me.
I hope you're right.
But white people are fine with wasps.
Exactly, white privilege. Like, no, we shouldn't joke there.
That was a joke.
Yeah, just a joke.
Don't come at me.
But yeah, like, imagine you just put imagine the police just pulled over anyone and just said, "Oh, how did you get your car?" You'd be like, "Well, I worked and I earned money and I got it." Like, kind of thing. Like they just seem to assume that
true, man.
that you must have drugs on you, and the only way that you've got that car is through illegal use. Like you've sold drugs to raise money to then buy that car.
Mate, yeah. I mean, the amount of times when I had my Sirocco. I mean, this car is new. I've got a Golf now, so I still haven't been stopped yet. But when I had my Sirocco, I don't film it. I don't have that. I mean, I should. I wish I should just get my phone out and start filming them. But I just don't because at the moment. But the amount of times I've been stopped just because there's been like some issue like in the neighbourhood or what was the other one? My latest one was when I had my Sirocco. There's been a robbery and someone stole the same vehicle as the car you're driving. I'm like, it's
all so much rubbish. I remember. So I've been stopped once. I think just once before. Like I've been kind of we go through like airport security and kind of they pull you over kind of thing. Obviously, I know airport security is tight, so I'm not sure if that was I'm not sure if that was a thing, but
But you can complain because yeah.
But so I remember I think it must have been just before we went to uni, so we was 18. Just started drinking and everything, and I think we'd been to Spoons, big up Spoons. Although actually they yeah, I was just going to say, obviously everything's cheap there, but they weren't going to pay their workers.
Yeah.
So I haven't been to a Spoon since we've lockdowns eased. So
I haven't actually.
Yeah, I don't know about them.
Their food.
They're a bit, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, walking home, I was just round the corner, and then a police car's driving past. I don't know if you remember the little alleyway kind of bit by mine.
Alleyway near yours?
Just, yeah, so from
your
Burnett
Downham
Lane.
house?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And there's like a alleyway that walked through, and then there's like go around to like the corner shop. Anyway, so I was walking down there.
Oh yeah.
And then like a police car like was driving up like next to me. It's like going quite slow. And I was just like, oh, it's fine. You know, it's quite a narrow kind of bit, so you know they're just making sure that they're being safe. So stop, and they call me. And I was like, what the fuck, like, and especially like, you know, I've never been in trouble for doing anything, you know, like, you know, like, yeah. So I was just like, well, like, what do you want with me, you know, like, I haven't done anything, you know. And it was just like, and to be honest, I can't even remember the questions they asked me, but they, you know, just kind of asked me like where I'd been and, you know, what I was doing, and, you know, I'm just like, well, I live around the corner, I'm going home, kind of thing. And then they gave kind of some kind of rubbish excuse like your one, saying, oh, there's been whatever incident, I don't know, you know, something's happened, like a robbery or whatever near here, and we've got kind of reports that you like might be near kind of the fit of that person. I'm just like, well, if you're thinking, okay, if you know, even if it's true, first of all, you know, they could just be making up. If you're talking 6 foot black male, well, yeah, there's going to be lots of people that fit that, like, yeah, fine, whatever. So yeah, so then so they took my provisional
because I actually went through it. Oh,
yeah,
no way.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so they took my provisional, just like, oh yeah, we're just going to do a check. And obviously I was just like, well, I know like I haven't done anything, so like fine, like, you know, whatever, you're not going to find anything.
Yeah.
Obviously did that, like did whatever they do in their cars, and then just said, yeah, fine. And then like just left. And I was just like, but
how did you feel? Did you feel at the time, like, did you feel like it was like a racial thing at the time? Or did you just feel like they were stopping you?
You know what, I think the area that I grew up in is obviously kind of like quite a poor area.
Yeah.
And you kind of, as I said, like, it kind of goes hand in hand in terms of like the issues with the police, that if you're black or you're poor, you're probably more likely to be stopped, or, you know, or the police to just have some kind of issue with, you know, whatever you're doing. You know, they don't ever stop, you know, rich white men, do they? You know, unless they've actually done something. And then again, then they get a bit fishy about, oh, we need all this kind of evidence. It's like, well, no, like, you didn't need that evidence to stop, you know, to stop the black guy that just kind of walked past. But yeah, like, there was always kind of a bit of a kind of us against them kind of mentality, you know, because, you know, people are just living their life kind of thing. And yeah, there might be someone that is selling drugs, but that's one person. Like, that doesn't speak for the whole community. You know, you're therefore saying that if there's this one poor white guy that is selling drugs, every poor white person in his country must be doing the same. So we then must be kind of quite wary of them, and we must make sure that we stop all of them. And it's just like, what kind of rubbish is that?
I wonder what they could do to kind of like ease that down. Like, what can they do to not come across as a racist, or they're literally just doing their job? Like,
see, I don't know.
If there was like a murder or a burglary, you know, what can they do to not make us feel like, oh, they're only picking on me because of my colour?
But I think like, if you look at kind of the stats in terms of the amount of black and Asian people that are in this country, I think I only know roughly what the stats are for black people. I think it's about 1.8 million people, and about 1 million of those are from London. So, you know, you go outside of London, and
really?
it's
actually,
sparse.
that's true. Yeah, when I went to Retford, I was the only Asian guy there. Not even a black guy there.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Literally Asian. Sick.
Exactly. But I think there just needs to be, like, if they're gonna do something like stop and search, it has to be just broad, and they have to do it with everyone. Like, I wouldn't have an issue if they stopped me, but also they were stopping this really rich white guy that's in his, you know, Mercedes or whatever, you know, all, you know, tinted windows and kind of all that kind of stuff. Like, if it's kind of quite varied, then it's fine, because it's just like, well, the whole point is that, you know, you're just trying to get kind of you know, you're searching as many people as possible, a wider range, because, you know, this issue it's not, you know, in terms of like crime and drug issues, it's not a black issue. It's you know, it should just be seen as an issue that's across the whole country. And especially if you look at kind of use of, like, when we talked about earlier about like use of things like cocaine, like, it's white people that use that more, but you don't ever hear about the police being like, right, well, we're going to do lots of searches around like Canary Wharf and around, you know, all of kind of the wealthy kind of banking areas.
Oh, mate, all of it.
Like, you wouldn't hear them do that because they don't seem to care, really.
No, it's true. You're right, man. And I just don't know what they could do to change all that. But again, man, things are still moving. Like, you know, this whole Black Lives Matter thing that's just happened, you know, that's a start.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that slowly things start getting better. I don't know if it'll ever feel comfortable, if it'll ever get to a stage where we all look at each other equally.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will ever happen, but that's a start.
Yeah,
you know?
I think, and to be honest, like sometimes it's tough to think that in our lifetime that we might not ever get to a point where we really see it of getting anywhere closer. But you have to be a bit selfless and be like, right, even if I'm not going to see it, like hopefully my kids might be able to see a bit of a difference, or my grandkids, or however many kind of generations on.
Totally.
So it's kind of like you feel like you have to do your part to make sure that people know about it.
Even all this stuff that's happened, like kids growing up seeing all this.
Yeah.
So now that generation is going to be very like, they've seen it all. They grow into this. Like my little sister, man, that's like, she's 7 and she's asking me questions all the time. Like, she never mentioned colour to me. Like it's not really nice to see. Like she's never mentioned, you know, I've got a black mate that does this. Like she just never like speak about it. Like she just mentions names, and you can kind of tell by the names, you know, what kind of culture they're from and stuff. But it's just really nice hearing that. And I don't know if it's just because of her age, which I kind of think it is. But then I also know people kind of younger than her, like my mate's kids, that question that. Why is his skin colour different? Which is fair to question, I guess.
They went on this training about. Obviously, I work in education. It's all about promoting kind of equality within schools, and it's quite interesting when you just said that comment there about you know, you might kind of, which I assume is probably like a white child saying, you know, oh, why is that person that colour kind of thing. Yeah. And it's so interesting that like you always hear a response like, you know, if it's in like a supermarket or something, and you know they say it really loudly and everyone gets a bit embarrassed, and then you know the parent goes, oh, we don't talk about that kind of thing, and then it just completely shuts off, you know, that kind of conversation about talking about race and talking about, you know, talking about why people were different. And talking about like, you know, why people were different colours, you know, because they're from different countries and from different races, etc. But like, imagine, you know, that 3-year-old child that is, obviously children are very curious and, you know, they love to learn about the world and, you know, they love to ask questions. And for you to just say like, no, we're not talking about that, then it just and it just stigmatises it, and you go, well, actually, you know, from when I was quite young, we didn't have conversations about,
and that's where the problem
race.
is. That's where, that's literally a perfect example. I mean,
just being able just to talk about kind of those things.
Talk to your kid about since they're young. Like, don't avoid the question. If they ask you it, just answer them correctly. You know, don't hold back or just wait until you're getting home, because you'll forget about answering that.
Exactly, because a child isn't saying that because, you know, anything to do with like racism, or they're just curious. They're just like, this person looks different to me. Why would they look different to me? And you know, and that's kind of, you know, that's a fairly kind of easy question to answer. You know, they're, you know, potentially their culture, or, you know, you might even be like, if, you know, if you're quite a kind of liberal parent, you might even go, why don't you go ask them, you know, where they're from, you know, ask where their family have come from, where their grandparents come from, or their great grandparents come from.
Totally.
And then, you know, then you kind of understand, oh, well, that person, you know, their grandparents came from the Caribbean, so that's potentially why, you know, they look a bit different from me, and my grandparents come from, you know, lived in this country, you know, in England, so that's why they look like that. And but we just shut it off straight away, and it doesn't happen. Oh, shut up!
I was going to jump at me.
Imagine if the dog jumped from balcony to balcony.
No, what? Yeah, 100%, man.
Last thing on race, because I love.
No, go on, mate. I'll fucking go for it, man.
But yeah, there was I don't know if you've seen the program, The School That Tried to End Racism. I think we were talking about it in our group.
Oh, is it?
And it's really good. It was on Channel 4. So it was on, I think it's just 2 episodes they did. And I think the last one was the week just gone. I haven't watched it yet, but watched the first one. And one of the really interesting things they did is, so they did a bit of a test to find out kind of how biased you are towards certain skin colours. And I think there were Year 7s that they did. So they found out the results, and then to start the kind of the lesson learning part of it, they split them into 2 groups, and they asked them to split themselves by kind of their racial identity. Right. So obviously you had all of the black kids were just like fine. There was one girl, bless her, like she was absolutely lovely, and you know she was great, and kind of she was straight away you could see her kind of questioning a lot of things that were kind of going on like from the start. So I think her dad was from Sri Lanka and her mum was white British. So she's kind of, in terms of kind of her skin complexion, you know, she's fairly light, but she's not white kind of thing. But she was really kind of torn. She was just like, oh, what group do I go in? Because I'm not white, but I'm not black, you know, and I'm kind of like this kind of in between, and, you know, I'm not, you know, not necessarily Muslim, so, you know, kind of I can just kind of quite easily be like, oh yeah, you know, there's some black Muslim people in there as well, I can go in there. She's just like really confused about it.
Oh shit.
So no, she went with the group with the kind of all the black children and any Asians, etc. Right. And they did a bit about talking about what it means to be from their culture, and all of a sudden I just like straight away I was just like, wow, that is powerful.
Relatable.
Right? Because if you and when you saw the two rooms, right, so you had the children that were all black, Asian, and they were just like talk about where their grandparents came from and their parents came from. This is my culture, this is the food we eat, this is the music that we listen to, kind of all that stuff. And like I feel like you can kind of quite resonate with that. You know, if you start to talk about kind of Bangladeshi culture, you'd just be able to talk about it, reel it off. And then you then had the opposite of in the like group that was mainly just white British, and it was just really awkward. They just really struggled to be able to talk about what it meant to be like white English or white British kind of thing.
Wow, really?
And it was just quite interesting that you think that obviously kind of at the moment you kind of think that if, you know, when people talk about being white British, you think about kind of the racial kind of connotations of that, like you know, with racism, with like the EDL and Tommy Robinson and kind of all that stuff. You know, if you're proud to be British, then that means that you're proud to be racist, kind of thing. Which obviously like is obviously like quite horrible that it's kind of got to a point where that kind of is what it means to, you know, be proud of your like your country, outside of things like football, because obviously football's just different. Like everyone's just like, totally, oh yeah, I'm proud to support the England football team. Yeah, like everyone doesn't like bat an eyelid of that. But it's just so interesting that just doesn't seem to happen in kind of white British culture, that you go, you know, listen, this is where your family are from, this is kind of some of the traditions that we have, this is the music that we listen to, this is the food that we eat, you know, in the same way that you get it from our cultures. Because, you know, if you asked, you know, if we used to have this conversation, say, what does it mean to be from Bangladesh or from Jamaica, we could reel off so much, hours, talk about food, talk about, you know, the culture, talk about the music, talk about
packed trains.
Mate, there's like so much.
Bangladesh, man.
Exactly.
Just type packed train on Google. You will see what I mean.
Like, and we could just talk for ages, but it just seems like so awkward for them to be able to then obviously kind of be like, well, I'm proud to be English. Yeah. But also, like, I don't want people to think that me being proud to be English means that
there's nothing wrong with being proud to be English.
Racist.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that just doesn't seem to happen, and that clearly needs to. Like, it clearly needs, like, people need to be like,
that is
right,
let's
talk.
I never even thought of that.
Exactly. Let's talk about being white British. Like, what does it mean to be white British and all that kind of.
I bet if you bring Eddie, he won't be able to. He won't know what to say.
Exactly.
I'm racking my mind now. I'm sort of thinking, what would I say to that? So really? The question you had about the kids.
I want to use one of the cameras so it picks up my voice. That's fine, man.
Yeah, sort of question you had about the kids, sort of when we're in the white British group, sort of like, what does it mean to be British? And I'm just trying to think, like, I reckon most people would turn around and say, oh yeah, we won the war and the British Empire.
Yeah, that's a good
it's built on racism.
People say the war.
People talk about the war, but obviously,
which is a good thing to talk about. Yeah.
But obviously, it's like kind of what, in terms of our experiences, because obviously, you know, if you're you know, however old it is to have been either around when the war was on or you fought in it, obviously then that's something big for you. But what about the younger generation? Like, you know, you didn't fight in the war and it doesn't really kind of mean that much to you now. So like, what is it that kind of that you have?
Hates this podcast.
It's cute though, isn't it?
It is well cute. Like, what would you say is your like most proud thing? Like, I love the food that we offer.
Jake and I talked about something similar the other day about being, not specifically about being proud to be British, but it was the announcement that we were selling arms to Saudi Arabia again, and obviously we were both like, what the fuck, like, they're a horrible country, why are we doing that, why are we encouraging the war in Yemen as well? We are encouraging that by selling arms to them, and it was like, this is like, we're not proud to be British because of like stuff like that, because of politics. And Jacob mentioned that the music industry and the arts industry is the one thing that we can genuinely be quite proud of, like the influence that we've had, and the fact that they're not getting any funding right now.
Wow, powerful, man.
Sort of makes you think as well. So like, yeah, we haven't talked about it as deeply as for me to be able to have a good conversation on it. But it was just something
I feel like I'm
quite
quite similar to you, where I kind of I'd call myself Black British, but there's obviously parts of being British that I wouldn't associate with. So a bit like when you just said there about, you know, I love the art side of our culture, but I wouldn't agree with how the government kind of handles in terms of selling arms to places like Saudi Arabia. So it's like it's kind of weird because you kind of do have to like pick and choose what parts you do like, because there's not going to be, you're not going to kind of agree with everything, and obviously some of it does become a bit political. So obviously that's kind of political. Depend on that was actually quite sick. There's obviously some parts that you kind of, obviously some politics that obviously you wouldn't agree with if they're a different like political group kind of thing. But yeah, it's mad.
Man, I'm so glad we had this conversation, because there's so many things that I never even thought about. Just like, you know, what would a white guy say about their culture? That's crazy. I've never come across I can only imagine, like, you know, being separated from like brown, black, and then you got white people.
And actually having like a serious conversation, like not even just like, you know, because I can imagine some of the guys that like we went to school with, they'd be like, oh, you know, what does it mean to be white British? I'd be like, oh, like having beers, going to watch the football, and it's like, okay,
watching Liverpool play,
like that's great, but like talk to me like seriously, like what actually do you love about, you know, there must be more than just beer and football, you know. If
you came to Bangladesh, what would you be telling all of us?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, how would you sell it to us?
Yeah, I feel like this is a conversation where I could talk hours for.
Yeah,
I didn't realise I actually can talk hours for. I thought like this is one of those things we could kind of chat about for 20 minutes and then move on. Saying literally, I wrote notes on my phones. I want to talk about, you know, gym, the girl that got called ISIS in Starbucks.
Oh mate, that's ridiculous. No, do you know what, Starbucks?
I want to talk about this actually.
Starbucks are bad news, right? There's so many stuff that I've seen come out like from them that just like we just need. I know people talk a lot about kind of like cancel culture kind of thing, but money talks. So like if enough people are gonna start not using Starbucks and like, you know, actually being serious, because like Starbucks, you know, as much as, you know, the coffee's like nice.
That's the only thing I heard of.
There was something, I think it was Starbucks anyway, about
so
if people wanted to. Yeah, I know, it better be. I'll fact check it afterwards. About if people wanted to wear any kind of badges or something to support like Black Lives Matters or any kind of, you know, like religious, not religious. Sorry, any kind of like, no, it's not even political movement, but anything to do with kind of like social injustice, that they would. I don't know if it was as bad as being fired, but told like they couldn't work that day or something, or they couldn't work while wearing it.
Yeah.
So obviously they got a lot of backlash there.
Oh,
because,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, because we're just like, well, this isn't like, and there has been kind of a bit of an issue of people thinking about it being like a political movement, which it isn't. It's it's social justice. You know, we just want justice for people to be able to live. You know, and human rights. You know, that's what we're campaigning for.
Of course.
So for Starbucks to then say, oh, actually, you can't wear this badge, you know, to fight against human rights, like it just like you're laughing, but it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Ridiculous,
absolutely ridiculous. And then obviously, then there was the, you know, put in the name was ISIS. Like
her name was Aisha as well,
which is like,
again, you can't like ISIS, man.
Like it's not even like, and to be honest, there's again, that's where, like when we were talking about earlier, like hours ago now, when we were talking about kind of those sly little things where they'd be like, oh no, I heard that name and I thought it sounded like ISIS, when it isn't. Like everyone knows what ISIS is. It's very big, you know, kind of in the news, you know, and it's you know, kind of linked to Islam, but obviously, you know, they kind of use it in this horrible way of saying, a bit like the KKK, where, you know, they might have been Christian and, you know, they formed this racial hatred group, you know, but like, you know what you're doing there, you know but you know, by putting that word ISIS there, even if you thought that it sounded similar, you've put that there for a reason, because you're trying to be a bit funny, because, you know, you think, oh, they'll take it light-hearted, oh yeah, ISIS.
You know, to call someone ISIS and it sounds like Aisha, whatever. Yeah. It could have been an honest mistake to them. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Like, I think it's like, it's quite important about how you approach it then. So when you approach that person that has done that, like, obviously, first of all, you just say, that's not okay. You can't do that. And I'm sure they've probably, because obviously the whole name thing on Starbucks cups has been happening for years now.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously people get it wrong and you're just like, oh, haha, you know, it's funny. But like, they have to approach it in the right way by kind of questioning why that person did that, and kind of just like looking at it a bit deeper than just, you know, oh, you thought they said that and you put that's fine kind of thing. Like, you've clearly done that for a reason.
Definitely has
and,
a
you know,
jokey way, but obviously it's still
racist even
way,
if it's a joke, like, it's still racist, it's
yeah.
still like wrong, and then you just have to have that conversation and just make it well known that isn't acceptable. And I think, and again, like, for me, like, actions speak so much louder than words, like, in these times. Like, you can say, you know,
my phone is making me nervous, man. I feel like that'll drop one.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, go on.
But yeah, like, you can talk all good, and, you know, like, Starbucks might bring out a statement, or I don't know if they have already, and be like, oh yeah, like, we don't condemn those we condemn those actions, you know, it's not what we speak of, and, you know, it's not who we are, kind of thing. You'll hear kind of, you know, something like around those kind of lines. But it's like, are you actually going to do something? Are you going to put, like, you know, make a policy change that says that if you don't know what someone's name is, then you ask them to spell it out, and obviously in terms of obviously
Or give them a little sticker and they can just write their own name and stick it on there.
Or if there is, you know, potential that some of your staff might be racist, then you put on some kind of training to, you know, to talk to them about that in kind of a non-threatening way. Because obviously, as soon as you call someone out on being racist, then they go, whoa, I'm not racist, like, blah, blah, and it just gets into like a bit of a shouting match kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Like, there has to be something that changes from it, otherwise.
No, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's going to be the next target that everyone's going to be going against, and I'm sure they don't want that. What I've noted down and stuff, we'll cover them all.
Yeah.
But mate, we're going in. This is a good episode. I'm excited.
Yes.
No, this is good, man. Like, I'm not even complaining about this, but we do need to kind of get close to wrapping it up. But saying that, I haven't even properly introduced you to people. I haven't even said what you do and, you know, why I've invited you on and stuff. You know, you play American football. That's what I wanted to talk about as well. But
big baller.
We'll get into that in the next episode with him. But he's also like, he loves like athletic stuff. Like, he's same as Ed as well. He loves like being fit. He love
it. Live it, breathe it.
Even like work-wise.
Well, not so. At the moment, I'm working more in education, so less of kind of all of that. But I did work.
Oh, you did work before.
I did work in like health and fitness.
Stuff, and that's what I rated about you, man. You was always into that, and you always kind of been fit. And I wanted to really get into fitness and stuff, especially with the gyms opening up. But that's going to be the next episode. But now you know who he is.
There we go. So you've got a bit of a spoiler alert, you know.
Yeah.
Reel him in.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, exactly. More to come.
But yeah, normally. So I started doing it. Well, when Nathan come on this episode, I changed
man
it.
like Baitface Nate.
Baitface Nate, shout out. He was like the early episodes, and my lighting was awful when he come on. I was really angry about that. Everything was just dark around him. Like, you know, I didn't have as many equipments as I have now. Like, I'm all kitted now. Getting there still. And what was I saying? Yeah, and I normally ask these three questions. I asked Ed these three questions halfway through my episodes, but then I asked him at the beginning of my episodes, kind of to break the ice as well, because I haven't seen him for like years. I wanted to do this here, but I don't know, we got sidetracked. So I normally ask these three or four questions. One of them I'm not going to ask anymore because it's not really PC, and one of the questions was, what turns you on? And now I'm getting to a point where my listeners are growing, and it is also a personal thing. And even though all my guests have answered the question, it might affect my whichever business I'm involved with. So I won't ask that, but just so my listeners know, that was one of the questions. And if you want to know about Jared, just message him. I don't know.
Yeah, just hit me up on social media.
What turns you on, Jared? But yeah, what's your death row meal?
What's my
death row
meal?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Do you know what? As obviously from where I've grown up.
You're a vegetarian now as well, aren't you?
So obviously from where I've grown up, like Caribbean food, mate, bangs, absolutely bangs. But do you know what? Obviously, I'm obviously vegetarian now, which actually hasn't been as bad as I thought it was.
If you're going to die, you're still going to be a vegetarian.
If I'm going to die, then I think I might have a cheeky bit of meat.
Yeah, Press said the same
cheeky
thing.
Bit of meat,
Press, I think he was my last guest episode. He's a sick rapper. He's a fucking G. Good mate of mine, but he was a vegan for a good few years, and now he's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I asked him the same thing, and he said, if I was going to die, I wouldn't be a vegetarian.
Exactly. You just have it, that one off in it. Yeah. So I'd probably have like a big old Caribbean plate of food. So there's going to be dumplings on there. There's going to be some jerk chicken. There's going to be some fried chicken. There's going to be plantain. Oh, I love ackee and saltfish.
Wow.
Do you know what ackee? Like I tried to explain to someone. So I had I did it for my girlfriend's birthday, Neve. Shout out Neve and that.
Oh, yeah, you can make. Oh, mate. Oh, brilliant.
So I did a Caribbean breakfast.
Nice.
And I did. Bro, it's so nice. It's so nice. And I did ackee, and I was just like, how do you explain what ackee is? Like, especially obviously, like, you know, most like, you know, obviously people from Caribbean know that, and you know, I feel like it's kind of like like black and African, Caribbean and African cultures kind of, you know, they kind of get the food, you know, from the kind of the different places.
Yeah.
How do you explain it to like a white person what ackee is? And I was just like,
how do you?
So it's a bit like, have you had jackfruit before?
No.
So
I've heard of it,
weird.
but I don't know what it is now.
Obviously, so they're both fruit, right? Which first of all you're just like, okay,
it's like
they're
a green
like a fruit.
thing. It's got stuff in it, no?
Yeah. So ackee's like, so it's grown on a tree.
Yeah.
And it's it's a fruit, but it's got a texture and a taste kind of similar to like egg, like, and it's like scrambled egg, and it's quite like yellow in colour as well.
Yeah,
so kind of it looks like that.
Yeah, I've got the picture in my head.
And yeah, it's like, and jackfruit's like that as well. So jackfruit's sick, yeah. So it takes on like the flavour of whatever kind of you put with it. So usually like you get like barbecue jackfruit.
Yeah.
And it looks like disgusting. Like it looks like a brain, like when you like first have it like all together, and then you kind of like shred it all up, and it's like it's like pulled pork.
I'm thinking of the
so
right
it's
one.
literally like, so if you're having like a vegetarian or vegan burger, then you have a like with pulled pork, with jackfruit, like barbecue jackfruit, and it's like the same thing. But
you could buy in like
it's
shops,
weird.
like they have it out in stalls and stuff, like in the market. I see them.
Yeah.
I never knew what they were called, but yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah,
Is that actually called jackfruit? Is that the
jackfruit,
main title? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so try some jackfruit there. And
I've had ackee and saltfish before. It's one of my
ackee and
favourites,
saltfish is just absolute bangs. Yeah,
I
but
haven't
to
had
be
it for years,
honest, I'll probably end up having too much on the plate to finish, which is just classic kind of Caribbean, where you just pile up the plate with. It's not even necessarily that you'd kind of have it all served on the plate. Like you'd have everything out and you just, you know, help yourself on this and that,
like
and then you end up taking a bit of everything, and then all of a sudden your plate's full. And then you're just like, oh no, I'm gonna pile some more on, and then it gets to like halfway through, you're just like, I am dead. Like, you know when for all the black listeners, they'll hear about itis. It's itis when you eat too much and you feel sleepy afterwards.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you get the itis afterwards, and yeah, you're just passed out. But yeah, and then maybe
us Asians get that in Eid, boy.
The big up Eid, you know.
Man,
Eid is sick here around Tooting in what's it called? Casper's. So you know, like Creams and Casper's and all the same like food places. When it gets to Eid and it gets to, you know, like 8-9 o'clock, bruv, they're all there in Casper's, like having a sick time.
The owner of Casper's same as Creams?
It must be, because they've got the same colour scheme and everything.
I know of the guy. He slept with some girl I know. Yeah, he's a G. But like, yeah, I always wondered that because they're all similar, aren't they?
They all look exactly the same, but yeah, when it comes to Eid, they're all packed in there. Like, it's sick.
I need to go Zid.
But yeah, and then I might have what do I want to have to drink? Maybe some like rum punch or maybe
ginger beer. You used to bang out ginger beer when we had favourites.
I love ginger beer, man.
Yeah.
KA, bigger.
You can't order all that. Like, what's that one drink that you order? You like ordering beer.
I don't know. This is tough, you know. Just having everything. If I've got to go with one, I'll probably go rum punch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I love rum. Is
that with like a bit of Guinness and stuff?
No, Guinness Punch you're thinking
Guinness
of.
Punch,
yeah,
of course,
Guinness,
obviously.
Mate, Guinness Punch. But have you tried it before?
No, they have like egg in it and stuff, innit?
So I'll make you some. It's sick.
Is it? It's actually nice.
Yeah. So it's a bit like Bailey's, where it's kind of quite creamy.
Yeah,
so
there's a creamy texture.
So it's like, so the ingredients are Guinness.
Don't you get salmonella or something because of the egg?
I don't put egg in mine.
Oh.
So
but
yeah,
it's a thing though, isn't it?
I think you can just kind of like give it that creamy like thickness.
Right.
So yeah, so like condensed milk, Guinness, nutmeg. I think there's milk in it as well.
Oh,
so it's like proper creamy. So it's literally like Bailey's.
Oh man, that must taste amazing.
The thing is though, like people were really skeptical about it when you first say, because it's just like, that sounds like weird, like, you know, it sounds disgusting. And then when you try it, it's bang.
Wow,
bang.
man, that's make
I'll
it for
make-
me,
I'll make
man.
you
That
some, I'll
sounds
make you
banging.
some.
You don't have cheat days, do you? You kind of just
Nah,
have full on
nah,
veg.
just-
That's
yeah.
sick. I rate that so much, man.
Yeah,
That's
I suppose
sick.
because my reasons for being vegetarian are obviously
what are your
partly.
reasons,
So it is partly kind of health. Not that my diet was ever kind of terrible.
Trying to get involved with this pod.
Not that my diet was ever terrible,
Yeah.
but it's the fact that like literally my go-to, if I was either out and I really needed something to eat and like I didn't have much time, or after a night out, was always having fried chicken. And like obviously you'll remember even from school, it'd be like 2 pieces of chicken, 3 wings. You might even get a burger as well. And you're just like it's just way too much.
Lucian never rated the burger, but now he does.
I know
I think.
the burgers are sick.
Burgers
The burgers
are
are sick. So obviously it was partly kind of for that, for health reasons, and also like environmental reasons. So again, I'll hook you up with another show. I feel like I'm just giving you like
This is
a
great,
watch
man.
list.
I love it.
But there was one that I watched about, I think it was on BBC, about the impact that like farming has in agriculture on the environment, and it talks about a bit about the Amazon and about how so much of the forests has had to be kind of cut down because they have to have space like to herd all
farm.
these cows and to have
Right, okay.
all these things. And then kind of hear about like the when they pollute kind of areas.
God,
and
this
stuff
might
like
be
that.
a moment where Jared just changes me.
Exactly,
Full on meat eater too.
but also I think where Neve obviously is also vegetarian, obviously because
That
she
helps
she
as
was
well.
she was eating vegetarian
Neve
obviously,
is his
and just
missus,
cooking.
by the way.
Yeah,
for
big up
listeners.
gal like Neve.
His missus, teacher.
Exactly, Irish.
We've got a good question on that about. We'll
But
get
yeah,
into it.
so yeah, where she's obviously vegetarian as well, it was quite easy just to change. It wasn't kind of like a massive change that I had to do kind of in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of environmental issues are quite big in terms of.
No, I rate that, man, and that's one of the conversations I was having on my last guest episode with Press. He was like, we were saying, actually I don't think it was even mentioned in the episode, I think we were just chatting.
Yeah.
And this lockdown made me realise how much I actually want to be a farmer, how much I want to have my own food crops.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm a meat eater, so I would have chickens and stuff. I
Yeah.
have my own stuff instead of relying on supermarkets.
Yeah.
Like, if these lockdown happen, I won't have to care. I'll just,
Yeah.
I've got my own farm, I've got my own shit.
See,
I'll
and then that's the thing when it comes to obviously like the environmental issues that I have. Like you can make sure that it's sustainable because you're just doing it to feed you and your family kind of thing, and you keep that within like yourself, and you keep that sustainable.
Yeah,
The issue is when kind of there's these huge areas that are being kind of cut, completely kind of chopped down, and there's just using up so much space, and all these issues that come with it, where
These
where it's kind of like a
factories
huge
and
area. Yeah.
No, I get that, man, and that's one of the things that I've even introduced. I think I was speaking to you and Neve about this. I've introduced the vegetarian side of keto in my life. So every Fridays, I'm trying to. It's still full fat. I mean, I've explained what keto is, and you just Google it. It's just basically just frying the vegetables that I'm cooking with full fat stuff and having avocado and stuff. But that is something that I want to get to. I feel like it's the right line I'm going to, and again, hopefully my ideal is to have my own farm, man, have my own food, bring my boys around. I've got some eggs, I've got some vegetables, mate, I've got some fucking aubergine, like,
some aubergine.
You know what I mean? Come round, man, I've got enough for all of you.
That'd be sick.
But yeah, that is my last name. But I rate that, man. I respect you. That's fucking sick. I never used to understand why you did that. I thought you did it because of your missus, but that's sick. That was my early days when you first started doing it. I was like, what, Jared? I'm losing it.
Like, you love me.
Favourites.
It
It wasn't even the meat, it was the favourites. I was like, favourites, man.
Just favourites.
But no, that's sick. I rate that. I'm glad that I'm surrounded by people that thinks like that, just thinks it's right with the world instead of just thinking, I don't care, whatever.
Exactly.
Man. I'm sorting myself out. I respect that.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's a bit like kind of what we talked about earlier. Like, it's kind of you can have that mentality of just where you're a bit like, well, what's me just doing one thing gonna like change? But again, if there's more people that you kind of you influence, or even if people make like changes, like I know some people that have like meat-free Mondays or something like that. Like it's not it's not to say that you need to completely change your diet, but if you're gonna do that, like that's gonna help. Like, it's all just gonna help.
What would you change about yourself?
Oh, what would I change about myself?
You didn't expect that, did you?
No, I didn't. That's completely thrown me off. What would I change about myself?
And you have to just legit.
And is it just what kind of answers can you get? Is it
whatever,
like,
man?
just,
like what, mate? I had a few. Like clearly, haven't been listening to my episodes.
Yeah, clearly.
But one of them was just easy as I just want to stop smoking.
Yeah.
And the other one was he was just going in. I won't say names, but like some people just going in, man.
What would I change? I suppose at the moment, which
What
kind
was
of
Ed's?
we might.
Did I ask you
Ed,
this?
what was yours?
Sorry to interrupt. I don't remember. Yeah, I'll listen back.
We'll listen back. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I suppose at the moment, kind of, I am making a bit of a change to my diet. I'm just like looking just to lose like just a little bit of weight. Like I want to. Do you know what? It's weird because like I was talking to Neve about weight as well, and I was saying that it is just like a number. Like, you know, when you weigh yourself, it's just this number, and you could weigh yourself, you know, in a year's time, be exactly the same weight, and feel completely great, and be like, I love my body, I love how I look, etc.
Yeah.
So I try not to kind of get like too fixated on it. But like I just want to make just like a few little changes, you know, like it's the love handles, it's the storing the weight around the stomach and all that. Just want to lose like a little bit, and it's like it's quite interesting, you know, when like you talk to people as well, especially, you know, obviously like, you know, your close family and friends, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to lose a bit of weight, and I'd be like, you don't need to lose weight, like you look great, kind of thing. And it's like but it's a personal thing. Like it's not to say that I need to lose it for, you know, for health reasons or because I'm overweight or whatever. It's because I want to look.
Does it make you self-conscious? Like, is it bothering you so much that you want to change it? Or?
No, not kind of like a huge amount, but I don't know. There's just kind of somewhere where I just want to kind of be, and I just want to be, just, you know, kind of push a little bit more.
Good. At least you want that
to get there. Yeah,
you've got that image in your head, and you want to get to that.
And I think it's just kind of just being a bit more disciplined with like some things, because I can. Like, if I don't have a plan, I can just be really lazy, and I can just be like, oh, you know, I wasn't.
Your diet? Are you saying you eating quite a lot, or?
Like sometimes, like, and obviously, you know, like I don't kind of shame myself for, you know, like having my treats and kind of stuff like that. Yeah. But it's just like,
insane, man.
But it's just, you know, like sometimes you just kind of feel like you're doing that too much, and you're a bit like, whoa, like, you know, let me calm down. Especially since we've been in lockdown and kind 100%. Of, you know, you've just been at home. So I was just saying the other day about, obviously, when you go into the office and everything, like you've got your packed lunch with you, you've got like what food you're gonna have, and obviously if you're gonna eat more, then you go to the shops, but you're making a conscious decision to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas now, when I'm at home, I'm just like, right, okay, I love my lunch. I'll be like, oh, actually, I fancy a pack of crisps, going to the cupboard. Oh, I fancy some chocolate, going to the cupboard, kind of. And it's just there, it's just accessible. Yeah, so it's just it's just kind of just being a bit disciplined with kind of that. Yeah.
I feel like that will slowly come, especially when you start like working and stuff. But now you said it, I always tell this to people. Now you said it, you got to. Now it's recorded and everything. I mean, this is not even that deep.
Oh, like, so now I have to follow it.
Yeah. Like most people say, I want to quit smoking, or I want to be nice to people. But yours is just like, I just want to lose some of this. I want to say, oh, you got to do it now.
Yeah.
But you said it now. You got to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The next episode you come on.
There we go. We'll hear about how I'm getting on with it.
Hopefully that's.
And obviously, if we're going to chat about fitness and stuff, then I can speak some gospel about that.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. I was reading again. I'm just trying to. You know, this person needs to calm down. Been doing like.
I would stop him.
I
would stop him.
Exactly.
Even though he's black, but like.
Yeah, you're driving dangerously.
He's driving dangerously. I'm beating for no reason.
But yeah, like I've been doing like lots of kind of reading at the moment, because I think knowledge is power kind of thing. And there was kind of something that got sent from the training that I did the other day about terms which you can and can't use. And I think like it depends, because some things kind of obviously have kind of like historical context.
Yeah.
So things like using the P word to talk about all Asian people kind of thing.
Joking.
Exactly,
that
one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, lots of these words have historical context, you know, where they're used, you know, kind of to degrade people from, you know, however many years back. But I think person of colour is a fine term to use, and I think, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's a bit different when it's coming from a person of colour talking about that, because it's just us referring to ourselves, and if we're comfortable with that, then it's like it's fine. I think the issue is obviously if you're using a term that other people find offensive, which I don't think, like, some people might necessarily not like kind of being groups like that, and would prefer you know, being said, well, actually, you know, talk to me as to like where I'm from, you know, so you're, you know, Bangladeshian, or you know, I'm joking. What even like Bangladeshi? Yeah. Bangladeshian. That's mad.
When you said that, I was like, wow,
yeah, it's like, wow, like, what is that?
That's sick.
So some people prefer like to be like that, or no, I'm black. Kind of, you know, I'm Asian, kind of, like that. But I think person of colour, like, I think that's alright.
Well, what's your? I feel like I asked this, but I forgot. Is your dad white?
Well, so the thing is, so Dad's black, My mum's mixed.
Oh,
but
right,
where she's very like, she's kind of like white passing.
You're really light skinned for.
Yeah, like so you wouldn't like. So my granddad black, rest in peace, Dudley, man like.
Dudley, yeah,
so yeah,
sick,
I know,
mate.
innit? Dudley Gray, man like. Yeah, so he's black, and then my mum's mum is white.
Full on white.
Yeah, so I think she might have been Scottish or something. I don't even know.
Nice.
We don't really associate with her.
Right.
So but my mum obviously kind of looks very like white passing, so she almost looks like she could just be white, where she's not. She's mixed as well. But it's weird kind of how that happens, where you can have some people that are, you know, a mix of colours, you know, so mum's this, dad's this colour, but you know, people come out in kind of completely different kind of complexions.
My missus, Asha, she's half Indian and half fully white.
And
she's
Asha looks white. She looks completely white.
Completely
white. And then when she talks about being Asian, where's her family from?
Her mum's from India,
yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
And dad's from like up north.
Yeah, so up north.
Retford.
You mean Bradford?
No, what?
What did you say?
Retford.
Oh, Oh, sorry. Yeah. I thought you were trying to say Bradford.
Oh no, he's from Bradford.
I was just like, what? You got that wrong. But yeah, like even her, like she could talk about being Indian, and people would be like, what? Like you're not Indian. Like you don't look Indian, kind of thing.
I didn't think she was Indian when I first got with her. Like, Mum was obviously proud.
Obviously.
Like my whole, like just historically, my past relationships, they've always been white, like white blonde, or I don't know, and. Yeah, so she was like the first, and I thought originally when I first started like talking to her, I thought she was like Greek or something.
Yeah.
Like European.
Especially because she's got quite dark hair.
Dark
as well,
hair, and then very light skin, and then she's like half Indian. I was like, God, my mom's gonna be proud.
Yeah, you'd be like, mad.
Yeah. So yeah, she gets the culture.
Yeah.
So when my mom's giving her food, it's like, yeah, my nan makes this.
Yeah.
And yeah, where was I going with that? What was we talking about?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. just end it there.
Done.
Done.
Yeah,
Finished.
done. One question for me that you want me to answer you. That was something I should have prepared you as well.
That you want.
That was my bad.
That I want you to ask to me.
Ask. Just talk about or answer.
And actually, this might be kind of more just kind of like you talking. Like I want to hear about like life ambition. Like where do you see yourself in? You know, what are we now? 20, 26, 27?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself mid-30s?
Mad.
Like,
see, that's a really good question, and it's something I didn't expect you to ask me as well. It's weird because I'm actually...
You threw me off, I threw you off.
Yeah, I'm actually going counselling soon, yeah, man. Like, it's fucking... Because these are one of the things that not really affects me, but I'm also worried about. Like, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not... Without sounding big-headed, I feel like I'm doing well. And, you know, from where I used to be, you know, house sharing in Downham to like, you know, moving out, having nice cars and stuff, and doing well. I'd like to think, and it's got to a point where I'm just panicking about life, where I'm just thinking it's going to stop one day. I don't know if it is about the like COVID, but it's got me thinking like, shit, man, like especially with my work and everything, and I don't know if I'm happy where I'm working. Like I want to be where I'm working. I want to be really happy with. And it freaks me out, the thought that I'm going to be living this life, this unhappy life. And I'll be panicking about it. I'll get these hyperventilations. It's weird that I'm opening up about it, but Ed's sitting there, well, awkward, like, oh shit, should go and hug him. I'm joking. I'm going counselling for it. My first session is actually next week. So my last session I had was, I think it was like 5 years ago. It was going for other little situations, but yeah, my goal at the moment is, it's about the farm thing, having my own own thing to go to. Ideally, I'd want a massive garden. At least I could do some sort of farming, have my own food. Work-wise, I want to be somewhere. Would you say age of 30?
Yeah, like mid 30.
Mid 30. I want to be in a place where I'm so comfortable. Mid 30, I should have a kid by then.
Yeah.
Or at least, mid 30, I'd say kid by then, and be comfortable where it's heading. Have a good little. I mean, I've got a pension scheme, but just be happy with what I'm doing instead of stressing about am I actually happy, because that's one of the main thing I'm worried about. And I feel like this is kind of, now I'm kind of moving on from your question, but just doing the podcast and everything, I feel like from when I started off, when I first started doing podcasts, I was looking back at it, I feel like I was kind of narrow-minded. I never really used to think about things when I was saying. I used to kind of feel like I never used to care about what others thought. I just kind of went for it and said it without worrying about how it might offend someone. Not that I did actually offend anyone. It might have been little comments that, oh, that was a bit weird, but it never really hurt someone. So I'm still, touch wood, you know, touch wood, I'm still there. I haven't crossed that line yet, but it might have been crossing that line. But that's the beauty about this podcast. I feel like the more people I bring on, the more I learn, and the more, even the stuff you're just telling me about, just, you know, you being vegetarian and you know what white people think about their culture. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Little things like that. I bring on creative guys like, you know, Billy, for instance. He's a videographer, sick videographer. When he talks about camera works, when he talks about his projects, it helps me with this as well. It helps me with what I want to do. It's just all these little things. It makes me become a better human. And by 30, I feel like I'm still not going to be there yet. But by 30, I still want to have a point where I've got a good fan base. Because before I wasn't thinking about fan base. I didn't really care. But now it's getting to a point where I've got listeners, especially with my Spotify and iTunes listeners. iTunes podcasts. Shout out to them. I've got like over 100 in America and just over. It's getting to 600 now in the UK, but my viewers is still quite low. It's still in 100, and the guest episodes like 300, but that's growing. So it's getting to a point where now people are messaging me like, "Oh, you've helped me out. You helped me out."
Sick.
I'd love to be that person that they come to for advice. Not that I'm going to know everything, but I'm going to try as much as I can, just to learn from everyone else, just to help you.
And even, to be honest, like, even if like you don't know the answer, like sometimes just talking about stuff
just helps,
like,
man.
I can't necessarily help you and tell you where to go and how to kind of solve that, but let's just talk about it. Let's just get it off, you know, get it out there.
Mate, how do you feel about this though? Do you feel like, do you know what I mean when I say it's therapeutic?
Definitely, because you just, and especially like you just ramble on in it, and you're just like, I've got this thought and this thought, and I want to talk about this experience and that. And you just let it all out there, and it is just like you said, like, you know, like we're back in sixth form, in the canteen, and we're just
people like
watching
chatting.
that.
People like listen to that, and that's the beauty of it. So basically, one of the cameras, the battery's running out, so we're going to kind of wrap up now. We're going to get on the questions, but the quality of the camera might look different now. Which is only Sunil and Dan.
Man-like.
So I'll ask their question first. So Sunil said, what motivates you about playing American football than any other sports? That's a good question, Sunil.
That's a very good question. Thank you, Sunil.
I'm glad it wasn't, I'm sad that it wasn't, you know, something that I could answer. But Sunil,
inclusive, but no, just to me. I think the best thing that I like about it is team sports. Like, I have to have team sports because I think I struggle with motivation, like if it's just like a single sport. So like I did do athletics, you know, kind of before, but a lot with athletics, although kind of you do have a bit of a team there, it is effectively you need to push yourself, like to kind of to do, you know, as well as you can. Whereas with American football, like, you know, you've got this huge team around you, you've got, you know, you even then split down into like smaller units. And you just got your guys that are just there, just pushing you, just being like, right, you come into this session today, you're at training, you're doing this, you're doing that, and they just kind of really just, you know, push you to kind of to want to do better. And then I suppose like I do, you know, kind of quite fortunately play for a pretty good team as well. So we're in the top division that we can be for the country. So we're in the Prem.
Can you see yourself doing that for a while? Like,
like I'll probably, I don't know. I think it depends on how long my body holds up. I've been very lucky to like not have many injuries, so hopefully kind of that continues. And as long as that continues, it's fine. But
has your teammates had like injuries, like bad ones?
Yeah. So there's one guy who absolutely sick player called Dan, plays running back for us, and I'm not sure if he's going to play next season because obviously this season got cancelled. But he wasn't going to play this season because he promised his girlfriend or his fiancée that he wouldn't be in a boot when he walked down the aisle. So he said, "No, I'm just not going to play."
Shit.
So obviously it gets to a point where you start kind of weighing things up with kind of your personal life, especially because it's just something that I do for fun. Like, even though it looks, you know, very professional and very kind of slick and everything like that, it is just something I do for fun on the side. You know, I don't get paid for it, and etc. You know, I pay to play. So there probably will get to a point where I have to think about, you know, I've got a family now, and I probably need to commit a little bit less time because there's a lot of time I commit to doing it. Even if you're just thinking about just going to the gym, you need to roll through next season.
It's true. Oh wait, Luciano called me. We're meeting him. Yeah, all right, sweet man. Oh God, more questions. I got to skip questions. Sorry, guys. we'll answer the ones I skip. I'll answer on the next.
Just do next one innit?
Episode.
Yeah.
But I'll see what Dan says. We'll see that. I'll say that. All right. So, what are the biggest influences your girlfriends have had on your lives? I'll answer my one and then we'll go to you. For me, I think she gave me structure. She gave me that. Because before, not that I didn't have I didn't have a structure before. But now I just feel like since I've been with her, I feel like, you know, I'm more tidy. I'm more, not that she tidies for me. I'm more tidy myself. To obviously keep her happy. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that made me realise about myself. And it wasn't just, you know, it's not just I need a girlfriend in general. It was just how she is with my anxieties and stuff. It's nice having someone there when you are going through an anxiety attack. For me, that was a massive thing. And again, just structured my life really. Like yourself.
I think biggest thing for me is confidence.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Like
what?
And
man like Jay.
Man like Thunder. But I think with confidence, with kind of being happy with who I am,
right.
especially when you kind of, you know, when you're kind of growing up and kind of you know who you are, kind of thing. But you know you're not necessarily sure like how to display it, or
right,
you know like when kind of like the clothes you wear and kind of stuff like that. And obviously, you know, not that it's kind of part of what, you know, what your partner does, but obviously kind of they're there to kind of, you know, to big you up almost, you know, and to be like, like, you know, you look great in that, and yes, you should wear that, and
it's nice,
you know, like,
getting
I think
that, though,
all
isn't
that,
it?
So I think that's probably like the biggest thing for me, and
really
and
answer.
she'll, you know, especially like Neve will say how my fashion sense has gone through the roof.
Definitely changed since you've been with her. That is a good
exactly.
point.
And, you know, big up her. Like she knows what looks good. So
you seem more confident as well. Like when what you wear and stuff. Not really confident, but you just don't care.
But I think that's where kind of you are at points, you know, where you're just a bit kind of unsure, a bit like, oh, I'm not sure if that would suit me, or so you kind of, you know, you might be like, oh, I'd rather kind of not, you know, try it because that's not what I normally wear, kind of thing. Whereas, you know, you then go to, oh, actually, I'm not sure if it would, but I'm still going to buy it and just going to try it, and you know,
if you like it, if she's giving you that confidence that if you like it, wear it.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. That's sick. Yeah. Whereas before, like my style would be different to what you'd wear, and you know, if you ask me, I'll be like, yeah, sick.
Yeah.
And you just not look the way you'd want it to. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not the same, but yeah, she's giving you that confidence to be happy with what your choices are. That's sick.
Exactly.
I like that. That's very good. Oh, bless you, man. I wonder what Dan's answer would be to that.
Dan, let's get him
I
on.
actually want to know. We should ask him. All right, and then I'll just say a couple questions that randomers. I've mentioned I won't mention names. Where is it? Fuck. Here we are. So I've got one. Fucking hell. All right. Do you believe in speaking about your problems, or do you believe in speaking about your problems, or just holding it in?
I think you have to speak about them. Kind of they just end up kind of coming back at some point, don't they? Or they start grating on you if you don't talk about them. Yeah. And it's a bit like kind of what we were saying earlier. Like you don't even need to necessarily talk to someone that has got the answers for you, but just someone that you can just open up to and just be like, right, I've got this issue, I'm feeling this way, and like you said, like you just feel so much better from doing so. And even just having that conversation, like your problem's not solved, but you've spoken about it, and now you just feel just like, oh wow, like I feel like so much better. So
what's that saying again? Where when you share a problem, shared problem is a half problem, or something like that.
I don't know, but that sounds good though.
I've heard the saying, and I was like, oh my god, that's sick.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to Google, but
is it a problem shared is a problem halved?
So say that again?
A problem shared is like a problem halved.
Yeah, a problem shared is a problem halved.
There you go. Yeah.
Sick saying.
So there you go. And then especially because if you're talking to someone about it, then they're probably, you know, the fact that you're having that conversation means that they're probably there to support you through it as well. So yeah, you're not alone in that instance.
100%. I've always said that, man. And that is literally what my podcast is. Like, don't hold shit in, man. If you feel a certain way, and if you feel really, you know, you really feel strongly about it, just open up. Otherwise, it's just gonna it might eat you up depending on the issue, but it will affect you, and it will make you feel better when you do release it.
Yeah,
Better therapeutic. Like, I was just telling. I don't know if it was recording when I asked Jared this, but I was like, "Isn't this therapeutic?" Was it recording?
I think it might have been, yeah.
Yeah. And you was like, "Yeah, bare therapeutic." It's
sick,
nice,
just,
isn't it?
yeah,
It's
just talking about
letting
stuff.
it out.
Like, yeah.
The stuff that you even preach about on Twitter, you just pretty much speaking with a voice now.
Exactly.
On a platform, which that's what I like about
Yeah,
this.
it's just so much better, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, let's go to Remzi's Would You Rather.
Man, like Ramsey, when do we used to play COD online? Like back in
back in the day,
like year 11 or something like that.
Alright, sweet. So there's one of them. He gave me a few, but he said definitely do this one. Alright, so I'll do this one first.
Yes, Alvi, I'm at the job, my friend, and I want to ask you a would you rather.
He's putting on an accent, bless him.
Be homeless and live on the streets
Can you
for
hear?
2 years without any support with your family. Who says you got a family anyway?
I can't.
Not have a girlfriend until you're 35.
Right. So what I heard was either be homeless for 2 years,
Yeah.
or not have a girlfriend until you're 35. Did he say 2 years? Let me go.
So would you rather?
For 2 years.
Yeah, homeless and live on the streets for 2 years, or not have a girlfriend until you're 35.
I mean,
35, man. That's like near 40, man.
that is a long time, but I think I'd go with that.
Which one? Not have a girlfriend?
Yeah, I don't think like
Homeless.
being homeless. Like, come on, that's.
But that might change you
that's
in a
bottom,
really good way.
Yeah, no.
And it's only 2 years as well. Think about it. Like, it's 2 years being homeless, but 2 years
but
is
still,
that's
still a long time being homeless. Like, yeah, no,
That
I'd
could
have to
affect
say,
you
yeah, no
big
girlfriend
time.
till 35.
And 35 is still fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you still.
And what if I wanted a boyfriend? I could have a boyfriend until I was 35.
I think he just meant for partner.
Yeah, but he didn't specify.
He
So
didn't
there we go.
specify.
I can have a boyfriend till I'm 35.
For my gay
I'll be
listeners,
homeless.
you mean boyfriend, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Dog loves it.
Dog loves it. Yeah. Thank you. So, am I missing anything else? I'm trying to think. Any more questions? No, there's few, but I'll say that next episode.
Yeah.
Bro, thank you so
Bruv.
much
It's
for
been a
coming
pleasure.
on, man. It's actually been sick. I rate it
It's
so
so
much.
sick.
There's a little goodie bag there for you. Alright. So there's that.
Bit of whiskey. Love that.
Careful, it's windy. I don't want you to. Got a little joint.
Cheese, little joint.
The J bag. I rolled it with water. I didn't lick it.
Water.
Yeah, boy.
Sick. And then man likes face. Jeez, come on now. Camera.
The faces are smaller now since the last time.
Just gonna stick them everywhere.
Stick 'em
I've only got two, but you know.
Mate, yeah, go on. End the episode, boy.
Bruv, it's been a pleasure. I've loved it. Like, as you said, like,
Enjoyed
it's just been so therapeutic. Just
Yeah.
talking about these things. And hopefully, like, you know, we kind of start conversations that other people start to have as well, or even some of those things that
I wanna do a
kind of
group
we talk
thing
about
soon
and
as
think
well.
about. Oh yeah, a group
That'd
one
be
would be
sick.
sick.
Imagine me, you, Dan.
So just
and
all around
Ed.
the table, just like, no, that would be sick.
Oh, we should do that.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
There we go. Done. Next episode sorted.
Alright, sweet guys. Have a good one. See you later.